You know, when you look at the landscape of India, it tells this absolutely epic story. It's a real tale of two extremes. You have some of the oldest, most stable rock on our planet, sitting right next to the youngest, most energetic mountain range in the entire world. Okay, let's dive into this incredible contrast. So to really get a handle on India's geography, you've got to understand its two main geological characters. On one side, we have this ancient, weathered foundation, and on the other, a colossal, towering newcomer. Their story is the story of how the Indian subcontinent was built. And just look at this. On the one hand, you've got the gentle, rounded hills of the Peninsular Plateau. We're talking ancient, stable, and worn down by billions of years of time. And then on the other hand, you've got the sharp, jagged, snow-capped peaks of the Himalayas. Geologically, they're just kids. They're rugged and they're still growing. It's like two completely different worlds inside one country. Right, so this brings us to the big question of our explainer. How on earth did this happen? How did these two total opposites end up as neighbors? And more importantly, what did their meeting create? Well, the answer is an incredible story of continents drifting and colliding over millions and millions of years. So let's start with the original foundation, India's geological heartbeat, the huge Peninsular Plateau. And listen, this isn't just old, this is a piece of the primeval Earth. The sheer scale of this plateau is just staggering. It's considered one of the most ancient and, crucially, most stable land blocks on the entire planet. It really is the solid, immovable base of the subcontinent. So where did this massive ancient structure even come from? Well, it all goes back to a massive supercontinent called Gondwanaland. When this ancient landmass started to break apart, the piece that would eventually become the Indian peninsula began a long, slow journey north. This is the origin story of our first character. And the plateau has some really distinct features. It's made of incredibly old, hard rocks. Think granite and gneiss. This means it's super stable. You don't really get major earthquakes or volcanic activity there. Its landscape is what you'd call mature, with these broad valleys and rounded hills, all worn smooth over eons. And this is key. This ancient rock is also a massive storehouse of minerals, which has been absolutely vital for India's economy. Okay, so you have this ancient block just kind of sitting there quietly for millions of years. But get ready, because our second character was about to make a seriously dramatic entrance, the birth of the Himalayas. I want you to imagine a tablecloth. If you push it from one end, what happens? It wrinkles and folds up, right? Well, that's exactly what happened here, but on a mind-boggling continental scale. The Indian plate, after its long trip north, just smashed into the huge stationary Eurasian plate. The immense pressure buckled the Earth's crust, forcing it to fold and rise upwards, creating the greatest mountain range on the planet. And this process is what gives the Himalayas their official geological name, fold mountains. The definition really captures it perfectly. They are the direct result of these massive compressional forces squeezing and folding the Earth's crust. It all comes down to that incredible, continent-shattering collision. And wow, the difference is like night and day. Unlike the rounded hills of the plateau, the Himalayas have what geologists call a youthful topography. What does that mean? It means high, sharp peaks, incredibly deep valleys, and powerful, fast-flowing rivers just tearing through them. This whole region is still an unstable zone, geologically speaking. It's active and still growing. And if you want one number that shows the sheer power of this collision, it's this one, 8,848 meters. That's the height of Mount Everest, the highest point on Earth, and it stands as a massive monument to this incredible geological event. So we have our two main characters, the ancient plateau and the young mountains. But their interaction, their meeting, created a third, equally important feature, the vast northern plains. See, when the Himalayas were shoved upwards, it created this massive depression, like a giant basin, right at their foothills. This made a huge flat expanse wedged right between the new mountains and the old plateau. So what filled this giant trench? Well, the answer is rivers. Those fast-flowing rivers being born in the young Himalayas carried enormous amounts of rock, silt, and sand. Geologists call it sediment, downstream. And for millions of years, they just dumped all this material into the basin, slowly filling it up, layer by tiny layer. And all that sediment they were carrying? That's what we call alluvial soil. It's incredibly fertile because it's packed with all the rich minerals eroded from the mountains. This long, slow deposition process is literally how the northern plains, one of the most fertile places on the entire planet, came to be. And this, right here, is the result. This land became the agricultural heartland of India. You've got rich soil, you've got plenty of water from the Himalayan rivers. It was the perfect place for civilization to just flourish. It's really no surprise they're called the granaries of the country. All right, let's do a quick recap and put these two geological titans side by side. It really helps to cement the contrast.
I mean, this contrast is what truly defines India's landscape. You've got the plateau, which is ancient, versus the Himalayas, which are geologically young. The plateau is one of the most stable blocks on Earth. The Himalayas are an unstable zone. The plateau has rounded, gentle hills and wide valleys. The Himalayas have towering peaks and deep valleys. And their origins couldn't be more different, one from the breakup of a supercontinent, the other from a continental collision.
So why does all of this matter? Well, as this quote from the source material puts it so perfectly, this diversity is India's strength. The mountains are the source of water and forests. The plains, which were built by those mountain rivers, are the granaries that feed the nation. And that ancient plateau, it's the storehouse of minerals that fuels industry. They all work together in this incredible system. It really leaves you with a fascinating question to think about, doesn't it? I mean, what if the Indian plate had never made that journey north? What if those rivers had never built the plains? How profoundly different would the story of India be today? And that's our journey through India's epic geological story. If you enjoyed this explainer and want to see more like it, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out. Thanks so much for watching.